So about a week ago I decided to change to keyboard and mouse. The reason I did this is I felt it was easier to reach a higher level on keyboard and mouse compared to controller. Even though the meta nowadays is that linear is OP on controller. For those that don't know what this means controller has OP aim with the aim assist that it has, whereas keyboard and mouse has no aim assist. I generally feel keyboard and mouse it is easier for more people to get better mechanics than the average controller player. And as mechanics is a massive part of the game, that's why I've gone down the route of keyboard and mouse. Let alone at this current point in time, they are progressively weakening aim assist, at least on PC for controller. As for when we compare to the World Cup, generally at the World Cup last year, there were more keyboard and mouse players compared to the controller players. This just tells me keyboard and mouse is generally the better option when it comes to approaching Fortnite. The last time I played Fortnite properly, I would say, was in Season 3. Now, you did hear me correct, Season 3, so this was a very long time ago, as you are going to be seen on screen by some of the clips. From when I last live streamed in Season 3, I was playing on PS4, on controller, and when you compare it to the standard now, everyone will realise I look god awful. However, back then, this was the level. There wasn't too much building, it was like, put a couple pieces down, build a tower, and shoot. And if any of you did play back in Season 3, you'll remember the much simpler times that was back then. Since Season 3, I've kind of stopped gaming altogether really, so I wasn't playing Fortnite, let alone knowing the mechanics on the controller, learning that. I was really just starting from zero, so it was a decision from controller or keyboard. So this made the decision even easier to start on keyboard and mouse over controller, as really I wasn't moving backwards. I was just making the decision of what to start from the same position, more or less. So as you've just seen, the setup I had before, good setup, but the problem was the size of the desk. I had a tiny desk, so I made the decision, brought a new desk. It made my room look a lot better, so it was a good purchase even if I weren't just doing it for Fortnite. With the new desk, I then started to learn how to 90. Most simple but effective movement probably in the entire game. A way to get from low ground to high ground as fast as possible. As you can see, continuous mistakes. I was either placing a ramp above me or I was placing a floor above me, even if I got the ramp placement right. Just my fingers were not used to pressing the keys. I've always been a console player, generally played Call of Duty or FIFA. I've never ever played keyboard and mouse, so this was new to me, having to press keys on my keyboard and synchronizing, getting the muscle memory, getting it all working in the correct timing. Eventually I was being more successful. I wasn't going under my ramp, I believe they call it a Harry Potter movement, or I wasn't flooring myself, so I didn't have to edit through all the time. I was generally getting better. Even though I was slow, and even if I was like maybe in a 1v1 build fight, obviously not against anyone too good, even just the pressure alone, I would make more mistakes. So I knew I had to keep improving this, but again, this was only my first 7 days. Next I started with edit courses. A massive part of Fortnite nowadays is editing. It is huge. Back when I played, editing wasn't really much of a thing, let alone all the crazy builds you see people do nowadays. So I knew I needed to start editing. So I found some edit courses online, and yeah, there's a lot of edit courses outline. It's a lot easier to practice now in a creative map, so that's what I went and did. Again, I was very slow, I was inconsistent, kept making mistakes, but I was gradually then getting the shape of the movements, the little movement of my wrist on the mouse. Again, like I said before, I've never had to do this movement on a mouse before, so it was all new, let alone learning it within a new game. Once I was learning like a couple movements, the more movements you add, whether this was maybe a triple edit going on from like a double edit, it got harder. I was struggling to do this. The main issue I found when I was editing, other than maybe getting the shape wrong, was I was over pressing the edit button. I did have edit on release, but I kept pressing it more. I thought the more I press it, the quicker I did it. But you have to realise, if you are maybe just starting out, if you're doing a triple edit, you need to press the edit key only 3 times. I was potentially spam this too much, and means I'm going in and out of the edit mode and never editing. Over time I realised this, I was getting better with it, but again the movement was slow, the movement of my mouse was slow, and it was just taking time, but I was getting better. Once I learned I need to move the mouse more, do some more movements, I then started to do the edit courses that required a bit of shooting targets. So you'd come out of an edit, you'd shoot a target. Another key thing, you need to be able to edit and bring your weapon out fast and shoot. When I was maybe going to the odd public game, I was never shooting, I was always just overbuilding, never taking a shot, and it just led to me dying lots. So I was learning, bring out the shotgun every single time, a little flick shot, and it's a good thing of practice, and I was getting better with bringing out my shotgun after I finished editing. Again, like I have said, I never had played keyboard and mouse before on any game, let alone Fortnite, so my aim was awful, and I quickly realised this when I was trying to shoot the targets in the edit maps. Again, when I was in fights, let alone bringing out my actual gun to shoot someone, I'd keep missing. It was a simple shot, and obviously on controller I knew I'd hit this shot, but in the grand scheme of things, on keyboard and mouse, I needed to get better at hitting those shots. Them close range shots, they're the kills you need to be getting the most. If you come over edit, do some crazy gameplay, which hopefully I can get to at some stage. If my aim lets me down, it's all pointless. This is why aim is one of the most fundamental parts of the game, other than building. So what I started was Kovacs, and I'm sure everyone has heard of Kovacs, but it's a cheap game you can go buy. I don't know if it's classed, it must be classed as a game, but it's like £6 on the store. You go and buy that, and it's effectively just practicing with your mouse. You can incorporate the same sensitivity from Fortnite over into this game, and then you practice hitting the targets. The idea is you want to miss the targets as little as possible and be as fast as possible. So again, I was very slow because you call it centering, where you move directly from one target to another, and this centering was very bad from me. I kept over moving, so I'd be a bit too far to the one side or too little away from it. I just wasn't very good at aiming. But gradually, over time, I was improving, and my flick shots in game I could then see was improving as a direct result of my Kovacs improving. I was doing the challenges after some free play at the start, and I was getting new high scores. So the more I played, the more high scores I got, and I was feeling more comfortable with my aim, I could move it faster, my centering was better, so we were progressing well. By day 4, I then had my first ever box fight, and some of you may be thinking, what are you doing a box fight by day 4? But my friend, who was actually playing controller on PS4, so he hadn't made the switch, but he hadn't played Fortnite in well over a year and a bit like me also, so he was learning a lot of the movements, but of course he had a better aim. You're going to see from some of the footage, I was very inconsistent, I kept choking when it come to editing through builds, I weren't placing the builds down. When I'd be under a bit of a pressure from him shooting, I maybe wouldn't think to put the build down. I was missing a lot of shots, I was very stiff. Even my movement, because when I was playing the edit courses, all I would do is hold W to move, I'd shoot, do an edit, that was it. I wasn't used to having to press the other 3 movement keys, so you're going to be able to see my movement was very stiff. Other than this, you can see the decision making I was doing was terrible. At times I should be holding the wall, maybe try to do a quick edit, shoot through, but I don't have the game knowledge from Fortnite. Like I said, I haven't played for over a year. Well, everyone's learned the game knowledge, even if they've ever made the switch, they've made the switch with the game knowledge. That isn't for me, so I've got to learn about making the right decisions, as well as the movements, the builds, the edits, the aim, all in one go. In the end, I did lose this box fight, but it was to be expected, but it's a good point to see where I am there, and then potentially if I play this friend again, if I beat him, or maybe lose by less, we'll see how I've progressed from day 4 to a day in the future. The last thing I started doing when I was trying to improve towards the end of the week was that I found an aim training map. Now, a lot of people may have already seen this map. If you haven't, I'd definitely make sure you go check it out, because it is an insane map. It's called a dual aim training map, where effectively you're shooting at another person. It can be a friend, you could go find someone online, just go find someone. It's great practice. There's like little different zones where you're in a 1x1 box with a cone or a ramp. It could be a 2x2, loads of different little scenarios that kind of mimic the in-game setting. Both players have a very high health, and then you choose whatever weapon you want, and you're basically going to be having a shootout to the death. I will note I was against a controller player, as I was against the same person that I played the box fight previous, so you would expect his aim to be better. But in general, I didn't do too bad. You could see the Kovacs had helped to some degree. I was especially better with the shotguns, so the flick shots, more of the movements I was practicing in Kovacs, I could noticeably tell was better than when I was maybe using an SMG and having to track wherever he moved across the screen. One more thing I decided to practice whilst in this aim training map was practice switching weapons. A common thing you want to do when you play Fortnite is shoot with your shotgun and then quickly pull out your AR or SMG. When I was doing this in the actual game, I struggled doing this. My fingers, like I said, I'd never played keyboard and mouse before. I wasn't used to maybe pressing one key and then quickly after shooting pressing the other key. So like I say, shotgun, shoot, SMG quick, shoot, and then we were like mimicking, as it was unlimited ammo, we was mimicking having an SMG round to shoot before we then go back to the shotgun and reset. I found this helped tremendously for my muscle memory of quickly being able to move between two weapons. So even if you're much better than me now and you haven't thought of doing this, make sure you go do that, because that is perfect if you try and maybe learn pressing two keys quickly in between each other. Other than that, I feel like in my first 7 days on keyboard and mouse, I made a steady progression and I already feel miles better. Even looking at the clips myself, even though we can see that they're not impressive, I feel like I've made a significant improvement and I'm more motivated more than ever to just carry on improving as I play. Fortnite's here to stay. I'm in lockdown, I've just finished uni, I've got nothing else better to do, so I'm going to grind Fortnite and I am going to be goated on the keyboard and mouse. This may take me 3 months, 6 months, a year. I am committed. And hopefully you subscribe to follow my journey. And you know, we'll see you in the next video and you can see for yourself the improvements I'm going to make. Other than that, be sure to like the video, comment what you think to my progression down below, and let me know if you're on keyboard and mouse and how long it took you to get to a good level after you first started. But that will be all from me. Thanks for watching and I'll catch you in the next video.